Two village idiots with a love-hate relationship.
See, you got fat.
See, you still look like a 15-year-old girl, but not hot.
Who can't stop arguing over Oklahoma sports.
You know what, man? Why am I still talking to you?
Come on, we were doing good there, man.
It's the Just Okay Sports Podcast.
Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Oklahoma Sports Podcast. That's Just Okay Sports. And I am one of your village idiots, Daryl. I'm here with my brother, Jared. And as we get this thing going and getting ready for some Auburn coming to town, please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, leave a 5-star review and comments and all the different things. And hit us up if you're still wanting some of our merch. We'd be happy to try to get some of that to you. You can also always head over to redbubble.com and search Just Okay Sports and you'll find our stuff there. Jared, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Feeling a little proud after the Temple game because feeling like my prediction was a lot more correct than yours. So that's always a good feeling.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
No, I'm doing good. It was a good weekend. Got to watch Monday Night Football. Got to even watch our boy Bake have a comeback.
Again.
I didn't think he looked fantastic for some of the game, but he played well when it mattered. The dude's a gamer, man. When he went down, I thought he was hurt, and guy came over chirping, and he stood up and started. I was like, "That's Baker, dude. That's just
I
Baker."
love it.
So anyway, yeah. So it was a good weekend to be an OU fan. I feel like so.
Heck yeah, it was, man. It was really good. And yes, my prediction was way off. It was really interesting, but I will continue to say that team is much better than they were last year, and I feel vindicated in saying that because Gabe Ikert and Teddy Lehman agree with me. So I'm going to say if the college guys agree with me and the NFL guys agree with me that it is such. But let's talk about the Temple game really quick for a second and review on that. And for me, I think my biggest sum up statement would just simply be the boys were on a business trip, and it looked like it. They were focused. They knew their job. They got it done and jumped on it quick. A 3-and-out fast, right down the field and getting a score. And, I mean, our buddy Sean was already, like, messaging me, like, early, like, well, the idea of keeping this game closer, winning, is over pretty fast. I mean, just they took the wind out of the sails of that place really, really fast.
Yeah, I mean, the opening drive was beautiful. There was a little bit of a you know, even then I would say like really the first half I didn't think that they played completely clean, right?
Oh yeah, no.
But they definitely, did. When you win, what was it, 45-3 was the final, I think it was, or something around there. It was a big win, but I was really impressed with Batir. I was really impressed with. I mean, Blaylock looks like the best running back on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Barnes does look better. You're starting to see some of those things each game. I feel like you're starting to see more and more of what makes Deion Burke special. Canick is a dude.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy to think like outside of Blaylock, this is what's infuriating. You just did to Temple what you did, which I agree is a much improved team. I wouldn't be surprised if that team doesn't win 8, 9, maybe even 10 wins this season. I don't know their schedule, but they're a good enough team in their conference.
They're not going 3-9. I can promise you that. This year.
No, they're a much improved team. They looked a lot better. But yeah, I mean, you had all these same guys on the roster last year outside of Blaylock, and were inept most of the season. So that's what shows you what, like we've been talking about, game plan does a lot for you. But yeah, I was very impressed. Like I said, Batir looked good. And the running backs looked good. I mean, there's very little to complain about. I mean, I thought the offensive line played better. They're still not, they're not amazing. But they're far better than they were last season. I would say I feel like they're starting to gel a little bit, but we're going to talk about why that might not matter a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, and the D-line, dude, the D-line they are wrecking everything. They are wrecking it all and causing all kinds of problems within the system. And so that is one of the things that is very much the strength of this team. It doesn't just feel like that D line's going to slow down anytime soon, and it just keeps coming in waves, throughout the whole game. And look, we didn't even get to see Danny Okoye this week; he's out injured. We did start to see some flashes from PJ. Now, granted, he's very much outmatching that squad from an athletic standpoint, but still, this is the first time that you've started to see him show real consistent flashes. He did last week against Michigan when he got some reps. He did again this week. Just keep that rolling, right? It doesn't feel like it matters who is out there at safety or at corner. They're in their positions. They're doing their job. And one of the things I love, I wanted to share this again, and I know that we've shared it before, but this is how every week has been. I just want to read you the tackle totals from the game, okay? Each individual. The leading tackler in this game was Reggie Powers. 4 tackles. 4. Okay? Kendall Dolby, which, by the way, welcome back to the party, Kendall Dolby. Come on. I
Yeah,
thought
welcome
Brent
back.
Venables was going to cry talking about that in the post game. 4 tackles. Taylor Heim, 4 tackles. Sammy Omasigo, 3 tackles. Kobe, 3. Dominic Williams, 3. Kip Lewis, 3. Taylor Wine, 3. Marvin Jones, 3. Like, it's everybody because nobody's playing out of position. No one's trying to do someone else's job. Everyone's taking care of their responsibility. And whatever the play is spilling to that person taking care of their responsibility. And it is a beautiful thing to watch.
I definitely don't agree. Osego looked like he had some plays that he was really able to show out.
You definitely don't
Um,
agree?
I thought he made some good plays.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
Okay.
so confused right now.
Anyways, no, I just think that there's a lot of players on this defense. It does suck that RMT is going to be out for the first half next week. I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
we didn't really talk about the officiating was definitely again not fantastic. I don't know how you call targeting on R. Mason Thomas and then you don't call targeting on the guy that hit oh, why am I
Keontae
blanking on his name?
Lewis. Keontae
Lewis.
Lewis.
I mean, I think both of them are fairly weak. Like, I don't think they're a completely blatant targeting. But if you're going to call the one R. Mason Thomas, then I don't know how you don't even review the other one.
Right.
So, but like I said, again, like you said, I'm not really that worried. It would be better to have our Mason Thomas, but
Oh, yeah.
there definitely is some guys on this defense. Like I'm just saying, there's the depth on this team is getting, especially on the defensive side of the ball, is getting ridiculous.
100%. But here's my sunshine. Oh, listen, everybody. I'm bringing sunshine to the pod. You're welcome. Sunshine. If OU can get out to a 2-point or a 2-possession lead, let's just say, okay, at halftime, and R. Mason gets to come in the second half with fresh legs, are you kidding me? You kidding me? Like, you better buckle up at that point because there ain't going to be no fatigue. You haven't been leaning on him, and you're going to have to be starting to throw the ball. And if he's got fresh legs, dude, just let's go. Turn the boy loose. But no, man, again, the Temple game was great. And again, just what I love about the defense is everybody's just doing their job. Every single week, there's not just some person that's got 13 tackles and somebody's got 4. It's just 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. It's awesome.
I,
Really,
I want
really
to
a thing to
I
watch.
want to I want to ask you this. Maybe you
Okay.
know it off the top of your head. Maybe you've seen this. Where do you think Oklahoma's scoring defense is ranked currently?
4th.
That is correct. So you knew. Uh, 6.3 points per game allowed. 19 points in 3 games. Now I know 2 of the opponents are lesser opponents,
Yep.
but even allowing 13 to Michigan, I mean, Michigan just lit up. They lit
Hey,
up everybody else they played, which again they played lesser opponents, but
yeah. But here's the deal. You've also turned the ball over, I think, in every single game in your end of the field. And every single time you've held the other team to 3 points, not 7, but 3. I mean, the interception this week was deep in our territory. What happened? -7 yards for the offense when they came out there, right? Illinois State turned the ball over deep in our end, 3 points, and I think they went negative 4 yards on that drive. I mean, like that's all you can ask for. I mean,
That's the one concern with this defense currently is they have no turnovers.
right, but they've also, I mean, in all honesty, they really haven't been given an opportunity to. Right? I mean, Michigan just tried to run the whole time. Um, so you didn't really get much passing. Now, granted, forcing fumbles, you'd like to see maybe a little bit more of that, but they're tackling them so fast at the line of scrimmage anyway. I mean, we talked about it. Their best running back on the day for Michigan goes for 2.6 a carry if he doesn't break off a 75-yard run that we're misaligned on. Right?
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, the other part of it is, and this is kind of wrap up my typical thing. When you look back at all the teams that OU's played and how their quarterbacks have reacted, it's like they're all getting pressured, but they've all done either a good job of getting rid of the ball, like just throwing it out of bounds, or they just scramble and get sacked. Like you're not somehow the three quarterbacks they faced haven't really thrown an errant ball. Like
yeah,
they're not just throwing the ball up every time they get rushed. Um, so credit to those quarterbacks, but that's kind of the point of getting that pressure is sometimes is that they're going to throw that ball up, and you just hasn't seen that yet. It's just kind of
yeah.
how it's fallen right now.
Grayson
Um,
Halton, man. Oh, if he would have had that interception, oh my gosh, that'd have
yeah,
been so amazing. That would have been so
yeah.
amazing. So, but no, for sure. Well, now let's turn our eyes ahead as it is the return of JFA to Norman, Oklahoma. Um, I mean, what do you think? I mean, look, he's coming in with Auburn. Everybody's booing him. And that's not a, well, I guess that's my question. Is the boo going to be Auburn's here and we just don't like you, you're with Auburn? Or do you really think the fan base has some kind of vitriol for Jackson?
I mean, you're gonna have some of the fans that do, right? I know fans that have that for Jackson Arnold, right? Like they just don't like him. Um, but I think a lot of OU fans, especially now, as far as we are into the season, can see that a lot of it was he, like we said, just wasn't getting any help. There was not a
Yeah.
game offensive game plan that made any sort of sense. Half his receivers were injured. Just a host of issues that weren't Jackson Arnold's fault. So I think a lot of it's just going to be that you're with Auburn now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's going to be a little extra because of that, but I think most fans don't hate Jackson Arnold. It's just, you left and you're having some success somewhere else. We're going to boo you.
Right. Right. I I hope that's the case. Like look, it should be a hostile environment. Period. That's why you have home games, right? So I'm not saying we should cheer for him when he comes through the doors, right? But um I hope fans are, I mean, I just continue to say I'm just grateful for their, I don't know what was going on behind closed doors, right? I don't have those kinds of contacts or whatever, but the guy could have left. I mean, the minute he was benched, he could have said, I'm redshirting and I'm out of here. Like I'm putting my just letting everybody know I'm transferring. With the crap show that they gave him last year, that's what they could have done. And instead, he stuck around. Not only that, came back in and played towards the end of the year, burning his red shirt, and wins a game against Alabama that we had no business winning, but we did. I just I don't know why
I
people
mean,
are mad about that. Now, I do think there's going to be an incredible anxiousness that nobody wants him to go off.
yeah. Well, and to touch on it real quick, I think the fans that have a problem with Jackson Arnold, it's because of games like the Missouri game, right? Where
Right.
really doesn't come down to the game plan. You made a really dumb decision. You fumble. He did have fumbleitis a lot
Yep.
last year, which you can't really say that's because of the offensive game plan. Sometimes it was just him standing back in the pocket and dropping the ball, basically.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I do think there's a little anxiousness that there's that. You've seen it all throughout college football. A former quarterback comes back to his old school and just demolishes them, right?
Yeah.
So nobody wants to see that on the OU side. But I really feel like it's. I feel like a lot of it though is going to be the same. Like if Dylan Gabriel had come back when he was at Oregon, it's like we're going to boo you because now you're at Oregon, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So, and Dylan Gabriel probably, I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but it kind of seemed like he was getting pushed out in favor of Jackson. So, if he had come back to Norman or whatever, that he would have wanted to blow OU out.
Oh
So
gosh, yeah.
it is, and you know what? I'll give credit to Jackson Arnold. All the OU fans, you can at me on Twitter or whatever that you hate Jackson Arnold, whatever. He's really said nothing but positive things about OU in all of his
Yeah.
media. He's been given those kind of softball questions where he could have been like, "Oh, you sucks," or I had a terrible experience, and the coach staff. I mean, he could have gone off the way that the questions were asked to him. They were really baiting him into saying that, and he gave nothing but glowing reviews of OU and wanting to play at OU. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the answer's been consistent from both sides. I just need to start over. I mean, I think the confidence and all the things was just really, really hard. It was time to go do something else. So yeah, that's that. Um, Now let's talk about the offensive line. It's still not been great. Maybe a little bit better. Week 2 here. Obviously playing an inferior opponent, but Michael Fasusi didn't even get to play this last week because he was in a boot. Now, by all indications, he'll play and he's fine. Matter of fact, by all indications, he was sprinting up and down the sideline on our touchdown plays in his boot. So obviously he's really hurt, right? So that's fine. But Troy Everett was announced today that he's gone for the rest of the season with a knee injury. Jake Michaela, I would say, is questionable at center. So I have no idea what's going to happen at the center position. I know at Temple, the plan was for Fabechi to play center. Well, guess what? He's banged up, and I would say he's closer to doubtful than he is questionable. And so he's, banged up and all over the place. I little bit worried, and obviously Jacob Sexton is nowhere on the depth chart, which means he can't come back and help fill any of these spots and cover any of these situations either. I have no idea what the plan is going to be at center. It is going to be very fascinating.
yeah, I don't know if they're just gonna have to pull somebody from guard over. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know anybody that's gonna have experience because center's a whole different position than playing guard or tackle. So, um, really curious on what the depth chart's gonna look like when that gets dropped.
Well, and they dropped a depth chart today, but no injury stuff.
Yeah.
Within it. So the injury report, I think, will be, like we were saying earlier, a ton of gamesmanship, and that kind of stuff. So I very, very concerned about the offensive line. It was not good news to hear all these guys are banged up. And I think that this D line can really, give some problems to OU going into this week. So, but with that, look, we can speculate. We're going to give some more thoughts, but we do have Ike Jones from the War Rapport that's going to give us a little bit of his thoughts on this game. So let's get to that interview. And then once we get past the interview, we'll come back and kind of give some more of our thoughts on what's going to happen in this Auburn game. But let's go to Ike Jones. Sooner Nation, we are pumped to have with us Mr. Ike Jones of the War Rapport, and these guys pump out great content. We've tried to do an awesome job of kind of scouting everybody out and making sure they've got stuff. But man, if you're wanting a steady stream of what's happening, injuries, all the different things, this is going to be a great spot for you to go get stuff. And so, man, we're just very, very thrilled to have you on, Ike, to get everything going, man. We really appreciate it.
Listen, I appreciate the invite, man. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I kind of said the name. What's some of the best ways for them to find y'all's content and kind of see what all you guys are pumping out this week leading up to the game?
Yeah, I mean, you can start on the website, thewarreport.com. We've got articles that go up about some thoughts that come from our writer that's there. I write articles from time to time. I got my guy Mike G writes articles as well. Then the YouTube is where you're going to find the vast majority of the conversation at the War Report on YouTube. And then if you are a podcast listener, we're the Auburn Express over there, so you can listen to the Auburn Express podcast, and that you'll get an earful in a bunch of different places in that way. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. So, all right. So going into this game, I've been trying. I was kind of telling you before. I've been trying to watch everybody's games. Obviously, you always want to kind of keep an eye on who you're going to play. But then I've really been trying to just listen to y'all's content for the last couple weeks, and I feel like the Auburn game, listening to your pod, to the YouTube stuff, feels like we're in a Michigan match all over again in the sense of y'all had some things you thought were good last year, but the reality was a lot of turnovers. Offense just never really got going, and it just led to a demise of a season, which is a lot how we felt last year. It felt like if we could just not turn the ball over, we might actually have a chance to win some games. And now everybody's got new QBs. We're swapping positions, and now kind of everybody's moving in a positive direction. Is that kind of how you feel, and how have you felt about the start so far of the season for Auburn personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been solid. It definitely hasn't, I would not put Auburn in college football playoff conversations or eventual champions type of thing, but they're probably on the fringe of that, right? These next couple of games will tell you a lot more than what those first three did. As much respect as I have for Baylor offensively, I don't know that they challenged Auburn on the defensive side, and you definitely didn't get the athleticism that you're going to see over these next few weeks from the likes of Ball State and South Alabama. As much as I respect the program that South Alabama has put together, it's just you're not going to see those kinds of athletes as you're going to see as you hit SEC play. So you have a cautious optimism that maybe you've turned a corner. But the question is, right, if we're using like a race metaphor, once you turn the corner, do you have the ability to really like get to that home stretch with a finishing kick? And right now you're just going to find out whether or not you do, right? So I don't know. We'll see. And it's really just the first turn, right? So if it's a full 400, then you're not even really in the home stretch. You're just out of that first turn. And how can you get through that middle portion of the race?
Right.
Yeah, and that kind of, I mean, it kind of leads well into my question. I know every OU fan, even Auburn fan is probably wondering, what is Jackson Arnold right now? He left OU, very mixed bag. He made some incredible throws, but a lot of times he was not the quarterback that they needed. And then, I did watch the Baylor game, very mixed results, very dangerous with his legs, but in that game, he really wasn't able to pass the ball like you think you would want him to. But how do you feel going into this game? Do you think he's starting to put it together? Like his stats have looked a little bit better, but how are you feeling about Jackson Arnold going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jackson Arnold has been what he's needed to be in these first three games. I don't think that what I like about what Jackson Arnold has done thus far for Auburn through three games is he hasn't tried to do too much. He hasn't tried to be a hero. He hasn't tried to, and he was risk averse at Oklahoma. So it's not as if he's a guy who's typically just going to be throwing into, double covers, that sort of thing. I think he actively avoids trying to throw interceptions. And sometimes that's kind of the reason why you don't get a lot of big plays that you could get out of him. But what I've seen from him is, I think, an intentionality about trying to stay in the pocket once he had that performance at Baylor of, okay, let me get through my progressions, let me get through my reads. He's done a better job. But again, when you have less pass rush, you do have the ability to do that. So my question for this next game is, how much does that translate when the clock needs to speed up a little bit more versus a better defense? But I think Jackson Arnold has played admirably through three games. I think he's made some good throws. He's made some timely throws. He's shown off the arm strength that everybody knows that he has, but still waiting to see kind of some of those wow plays with the arm.
Yeah, no doubt. So you've mentioned, like, so far, obviously he was 5-star coming out of high school. Now he's the transfer guy. And I mean, social media was pumping him like crazy all off season. We've got our guy, all the things. And so he's done a great job through these three first games of just let the game come, manage it, do well. How do you feel going into his return, if you will, the revenge, hey, it wasn't all me, which I know Jared and I have much been on the train of he just did not have help around him at all last year, but I'm sure he wants to prove that. Do you feel like that gets to him at all as he comes into Norman this weekend?
I mean, if you listen to him talk about it, no, but I find it difficult to believe, like, just the humanity in a person is going to make you want to be in that sort of mode. I think Jackson Arnold will be okay. What I actually am a little more concerned about are the players on his team that are going to want to win the game for him, is whether or not they're going to be able to control some of the emotional things that are like, yo, we got your back, Jackson. We finna go out here. It's like, yo, everybody needs to be composed in this very highly emotional environment and make sure that they're just going out there and doing their job and not trying to overdo things. It's going to be, listen, I was in Waco for that Baylor game, and the Baylor crowd was amazing. This is a different animal, though, right? Like, this is, that Baylor Stadium holds like 45,000, something like that. Like, we're not talking, we're talking about a very different size, noise, atmosphere that he's going to, and he's familiar with it, but he's never been on the other side of it. And so there's going to be some familiarity with the field, but it's just going to be a different energy directed towards him. And is he going to be able to block that stuff out and stay composed? Again, if you listen to him talk, you think, oh, yeah, he's fine. But I think once the rubber meets the road here in a couple of days, all of that goes out of the window, right? Everybody's got a plan until he gets hit in the mouth. He's going to get hit in the mouth a couple of times. And how much is he able to get off of the mat and keep delivering? We'll find that out very soon.
Yeah.
So a question that I think Oklahoma fans hate to ask, because last year was one of maybe the worst that I can remember in my lifetime, but injuries. How is Auburn? Are they dealing with any injuries? Is there any big updates as far as there guys coming back? Is there guys that are going to be out for this game? What kind of updates do you have on the injury front for Auburn?
Yeah, from an injury standpoint, there are guys that are dealing with some stuff. So I think, Coach Hugh Freeze gave an update of this in his Monday presser. Morris Williams had a shoulder separation that happened during the game versus South Alabama. One of the defensive linemen / outside linebackers, kind of depending, he plays that buck position for Auburn. And he's had a good season so far. So he will likely be limited, but they feel like as the week progresses, he'll be available, but probably will not be 100% during the game. Damari Alston, who was the starting running back, not the leading rusher because he's missed the last 2 games. He only played that Baylor game, but will be back for this game. But this will be his first game back, so I don't know if he's going to be on limited snaps, but he will be available to play. Could have played in that last game versus South Alabama, so he should be good to go. And then you've got a couple of other guys that you're probably going to get back. Champ Anthony had a broken something like that. I think he broke something in his hand, but he had the surgery. He's good to go. Could have again played in the last game. Should be available to go in this game, playing a little bit of safety / nickel, slot corner, that sort of thing for Auburn. And then the only other significant people that were held out recently, Malcolm Simmons, slot wide receiver, did not play in the last game. He had a shoulder situation he was dealing with. Again, they said he could have played in the last game if he needed to, but at South Alabama, just held him out. And Rayshawn Pleasant, the kick returner / corner, should be available to play. The only one we haven't gotten a definitive answer on is Jay Crawford, the corner for Auburn. Went out during the game versus South Alabama with like an ankle injury, never re-entered the game, has not been a full go at practice yet this week, but is expected to play.
And yeah, it's that time of year already. It's crazy. It feels like our injury list has got all kinds of little question marks on it, just like you guys do. So that'll be fascinating.
Well, this will be the first game where they're required to give the injury report because it is an SEC matchup. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who's listed as doubtful, questionable, whatever the thing they want to put out beside the
whole
report.
roster. That's what everybody's going to do every week. They're questionable.
Everybody's doubtful.
So it'll be crazy. But within all that, Ike, as you look at this game and just kind of what the matchups are going to be, whatnot, who are the key guys that you think are going to make the difference for Auburn on offense and on defense for them this weekend?
Yeah, I'll start on the offensive side, and I'll avoid the obvious. Jackson Arnold's got to play well, right? Your quarterback needs to play well, right? But I think it's really going to come down to how well he plays. I think is going to be predicated on how well the offensive line plays, right? Yeah. Particularly, you've got 2 offensive tackles out there who are going against some formidable pass rushers. I understand R. Mason Thomas has the half game suspension the first half of that game, but there's still some other guys that can come off of the edge there for Oklahoma that can be disruptive. So how well are they going to be able to allow Jackson time if they're going to be getting into some traditional drop back stuff on 3rd and 7 or more in those long situations, and give him time to be able to survey the field. That's going to be important. So Xavier Chaplin, the transfer that came over for Virginia Tech, has played well so far. For me, Mason Murphy, I was always I don't know how well he's going to play, because he had some bad moments when he was at USC, and he's already had a couple of moments where it's like, yo, did you even try to block that dude on that pass rush there? Wondering how he's going to play at right tackle in this game, I think, is going to be critical for Auburn on the offensive side. And then the other thing is they've been utilizing Eric Singleton in a variety of ways so far, right? He's been the speed sweep guy. He's been threatening, the quick outs and, across the field. Like he's been lining up all over the place, and he's been doing a lot of things. How well is Oklahoma going to be able to cover the multiplicity of ways in which Eric Singleton's going to be deployed? Or are they going to fall into the trap that Baylor did, which is paying way too much attention to Eric Singleton, which allowed for the run game to go crazy because they're manipulating those safeties and linebackers too much, and then the run game just gets downhill because they're out of position. So I think that's going to be a critical thing on the offensive side for Auburn. When you flip it over to the defensive side, it's going to be, for me, a lot about really two positions. I won't say players, because the pass rush has to come, I think, from multiple ways. And likely what they're going to try to do, based upon how they've defended the other quarterbacks that they've seen, is it's going to be pressure, right? They're just going to send pressure from different places and make the offensive line and John Mateer figure out who is coming, who's not coming on any particular packages. But when they only are rushing 4, particularly on the 3rd and long scenarios, how can they keep Mateer from being an off-schedule QB? Yeah. Because if he gets off schedule and he breaks containment, he is, he's darn near unstoppable, just because he has the legs and he can throw on the run really well, right? Yeah. So he makes those off-schedule plays really well. So I'm going to be looking at the Auburn edge rushers and those interior linebackers that are going to be coming on those blitzes. How well can you get the pressure and then either make him get rid of the football or get him to the ground? That's going to be crucial, because Auburn hasn't covered well. Like, if we're going to be honest about the defensive backfield that I thought was going to be amazing for Auburn this year, they've been a disappointment so far. So the pass rush needs to be more effective to affect what John Mateer is going to be looking at. I think the Auburn run defense has been good, so I'm not worried there. It's about whether or not they're going to be able to impact the pass offense with Mateer out there.
That's fair. That's fair. There's a lot to go into this game. So, I feel like this is a very evenly matched game, like a lot of strength for strength kind of ball. So what's your overall feel of, like, how do you think this game's going to go? What do you think? Do you have like a final score prediction? Who's going to come out on top?
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough because I don't know what to make of the P4 matchups that either of these teams have played so far, right? Because I think Michigan learned their lesson about not allowing their quarterback to utilize his legs and being a legitimate threat. But they realized that a game too late. Like, I would have liked to have seen what Bryce Underwood as a dual threat would have done versus Oklahoma, to have a better idea of how Oklahoma handles a dual threat guy with a competent run game coupled with it, right? Auburn has the competent run game and the dual threat ability from the quarterback position. And so I just haven't seen Oklahoma function versus that. Conversely, Auburn hasn't faced a defense that could really stop they didn't run the ball as effectively or as much versus their last two opponents, because essentially they weren't trying to. They were trying to work on the pass game, but they still ran for over 100 yards. The running backs in each game ran over, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't even trying, they got 100 yards out of the running back, right? And so, but they ran for 300 versus Baylor, but like, is Baylor a good barometer for how well they're going to play, P4 teams on the ground? So it's difficult to make a prediction that doesn't come with a whole lot of bias. So I'm going to give you my bias prediction.
I love it. Let's go.
What I want to see out of this Auburn team is a team that just counterpunches well, right? because Oklahoma's going to score. Oklahoma's going to give you moments where you're going to feel like you're against the ropes. I do think this is going to be a defensive battle,
I agree.
and there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't know that you're going to see a blowout in this game. I think it's going to be a tightly contested one. I think if Auburn's going to win, it's going to need to look 27-24 ish, honestly. And they're finally getting kickers healthy and that sort of thing. So give me Auburn. Yeah, I'll go 28-24 in this game. Auburn in a close one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm feeling close too, man. And I'm feeling even lower scoring. I think, I'm not exactly sure what this team is. And like we found out today, our injury report's going to be littered with offensive linemen listed as doubtful. That was already not the greatest, and you guys have got a good D line. I think that's going to be a problem. Venables also knows every weakness of Jackson Arnold, what he sees and what he doesn't see. And I think these two defenses are just going to get after each other, and it's going to be who makes the biggest critical mistake.
So you're saying it's going to look exactly like last year's game?
Yeah.
Ugly,
yeah.
and then a late turnover determines it.
I think it could. I think it really, really could. I mean, I'm really thinking, and I know I said this against Michigan, it didn't play out that way, but I keep feeling like 23-20, something like that, where it's just, but I think it's going to be a slugfest. I mean, I think as much as all those things are true, I think Hugh Freeze is good enough at what he does to generate some kind of offense, no matter what is going on with that group. I think the same of Arbuckle thus far. What I've seen out of him is he's going to find a way to put some situations together, and there's going to be some movement. But I think the defenses are just going to really tune up for this one and play some good ball, man. So it'll be a good one. Last question, because we're still new to this SEC family. These are the first time these teams have met each other. Last year was our first time ever to be at Auburn and play there. This is y'all's first time in history ever to come to Oklahoma and play. I didn't even ask you this, but what was kind of the response from the fan base last year from Oklahoma fans, especially winning like that at the end? I can imagine that the reaction was, that's the most obnoxious fan base I've ever been around because of the fashion that they won that game. Or it could have been, man, it was great.
No.
Alabama,
I know obnoxious fan bases, and as fired up as Oklahoma fans are and as devoted as they are not even scratching my top 3 most obnoxious fan bases.
Yes. All right, I'll take that. I will take that.
Yeah. So, unless you guys haven't had the pleasure, and I'm throwing direct shade. You can be mad at me if you're listening. If you haven't been to Baton Rouge, then you don't know obnoxious fan bases.
We were there last year.
No,
we were there last year.
Yeah. Of course, we absolutely hate 2 other fan bases in the SEC, in those guys across the state and the ones in the state that directly is to our east. Yeah. And, grown men barking at you is absolutely obnoxious. I don't care what, you know what I'm saying? So, not touching that. And then I think just the general hatred of the other team in the state provides and to be fair, all 3 of the teams that I just mentioned have been really good for a long time.
Right.
And so they've earned the right to be a little obnoxious. However, they take it to a whole other level, even when they're not great. And that's what makes them obnoxious. Well, and we haven't had to even deal with the Texas stuff yet. So I was just about,
get ready for a fan base that hadn't still won anything in, or one thing in 30 years. They are going to let you know that they're the greatest things in sliced bread. I can promise you all day long.
So again, I don't even know if you guys will be in the top 5 yet, right? Because we haven't had to deal with Texas yet. We've dealt with these other 3. And then there's one other fan base that I won't mention because they feel like they're relevant and they never are. But they talk like they are. But they don't even deserve to be mentioned. If you watch my show, you know how I feel about this school. If you're listening right now, you know exactly who I'm talking about, and you will probably say it in the comment section. But they feel like they're amazing, and I despise them. So
I feel like I probably could guess who that fan base is, but I won't.
We'll let people go find the content to get it. But
we'll leave that as an Easter egg.
Hey, I really hope, man, that all you guys coming up here have a great time. By the way, Ike mentioned he's driving up for the game, Sooner fans. So listen, host our boy well, get him some cold beverages, get him some good food out there on the North Oval, help him out. And also, don't forget, put in the comments if you're on YouTube, put in the comments on Twitter, put in the comments on all the different things. Let our guy know where to go. He's staying in Moore. He's going to be driving down to the game. But let him know all the spots to hit. Obviously, Campus Corner is where you want to be. The North Oval is going to be the spot with all the tailgating and craziness going on over there. But let this guy know and invite him. Let him come and join you guys out. Show him a good time while he's here. So, man, I thank you again for joining us so much, man. We appreciate it. Tell everybody one more time where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to directly tell me how stupid you feel like my takes are, I'm cool with that. I am TWR Ike Jones on Twitter. Of course, you can always go over to the YouTube channel. We got tons of content. We are dropping probably at least 2 content pieces per day from now until the game. Between film reviews and interviews and all of the stuff surrounding this game. So you have plenty of opportunities to tell us how terrible our takes are in the comment sections of the video. And then, of course, you can go read any of the stuff that we have going on thewarreport.com, and you can share that content and say, listen to what these clowns had to say about this game.
Yeah, let's go.
It's going to be great, man. We're looking forward to it.
No, man. And again, one of the reasons that we asked you guys and tried to get a hold of you guys to get on here is we're looking for folks that actually try to break it down and do it right, crew. These ain't clickbaiters that are out there. They're giving honest opinions. They're breaking it down. I listened to them today. One guy's like, man, I feel confident. I can't remember the other guy's name. He was like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not there yet. And so it's, I just appreciate you guys giving an honest review of your squad, giving great content. So, man, please go check them out. And so, man, Ike, thanks again. We hope we'll see you and host you well in Norman, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
I would say that they're probably a little bit cautiously optimistic like we are. Or are we more optimistic?
I don't know. I mean, I would say we're more optimistic because he pretty much let off that he doesn't really consider Auburn to be a playoff contender type team yet.
Mm-hmm.
Where OU fans are already talking playoffs and all kinds of stuff. Even the media is starting to say that about OU. I think this is one of those games, like we said about the Michigan game, and this is really the truth for OU a lot of the season. But early in the season, that's kind of the funny part about them playing Michigan and Auburn. I don't think anybody questions that they're not good opponents. How good are they is the question, right? We said that about Michigan. We still have questions about Michigan. Auburn, I think, is very much in that same boat. I think we think they're a good opponent, but how good are they?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be, do they have it all? Do they have the piece? Like we said, we know that the Jackson Arnold has a lot of weapons, but Jackson Arnold still has a question mark. Like, Ike said, hasn't really played anybody. So he should be putting up numbers. He's done what he needs to do, I think is how he phrased it.
Right.
And I think that's pretty accurate. I've watched some of Jackson's games and, I watched the Baylor game and, that's something that gives me a little bit of caution because Baylor, he just ran all over him.
Yep.
He wasn't really dangerous with his arm, but he was able to just slice them up. And I don't understand why Dave Aranda didn't I would have put 2 linebackers spying him. I mean, I don't understand that game plan. And so if OU doesn't respect his legs, then that could be a problem. So, but again, this is one of those games where you've got to win it. And if you start winning, if OU's able to go and beat Auburn, then you can start really I would just really start buying more into those conversations. But I think, again, with Auburn, this is no disrespect for the Auburn program. I think Ike said it the best. Nobody really knows right now. Like we're 3 games through the season and nobody really knows right now what they have. Because everybody's been playing mostly powder puffs or teams that you don't know how good they are. Right. So it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah. And I mean, we've said it all season. This, to me, the game is decided on this offensive line. Whatever patchwork offensive line they have to put out there. Now, obviously, John Mateer's got to make some things happen around that, but they've got to do enough to make this game work, And again, I have no idea who's going to play center. I have no idea who's going to play right guard. And when you start breaking that down, remember that it's Jake Michaela and Troy Everett that make the calls for the offensive line. They're the ones who see everything and say, this is what you do and what you do. It was pretty obvious in the last 2 weeks. Jake Michaela is smart enough and was experienced enough to be able to see the right things and get everybody in the right positions. We know Troy Everett's played a ton of football. He's seen every look you can see. He's going to get your guys in the right calls. I mean, what do you do now? What do you do now to get your guys in the position they're supposed to be? And I really think that that could end up being the thing. Now, if we were full strength on the offensive line, I'm way more optimistic about coming out of this game with a W.
Yep.
But due to these injuries, and specifically at center, you are now on your third team center, maybe even your fourth. Like, that's a problem. And if you're at your backup guard with that, and by the way, your backup guard, or if your starting guard, who is your second most experienced guy on the whole line, is gone, I don't know what you do.
Yeah, Coach B is going to have to coach his butt off this week. Because they're going to have to figure out how to know what to do. Yeah, it's a very big cause for concern. And, ironically, the fun part of this game, whether you're an OU fan or an Auburn fan, is I think this is two of the best defensive lines in college football. That are going to be going up, against, I think they're both going to feast. So I really do think that this is going to be a hard fought game, but OU having those question marks, like you said, if we had a fully healthy offensive line, then I'm 10 times more confident than I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm probably leaning more to very skeptical than I am, anything else about pulling out this win. Because only because I don't anticipate Jackson Arnold going crazy with his arm and just lighting us up for 300 passing yards. And I don't foresee him lighting us up for 150 yards rushing like he did Baylor. But I do think their running game and just the pure talent, their wide receivers, if our offense can't get things going because of the offensive line, I feel like if it's just straight up, is going to be able to do enough to get us rolling and to get us moving, or to get them moving, I should say, and get us behind. So we'll see how that goes and what happens there. But all right, so my offensive line's me. What about you? What do you feel like is the absolute key to this game?
Well, since I don't want to pick offensive line either, and I don't want to pick the obvious of saying John Mateer, just kind of like Ike said, it's the obvious thing to say your quarterback has to play well. I'm gonna go running backs. Like, you're gonna have to get guys that are going to be able to show that they can get yardage even without much of a maybe not with much of a hole, or maybe you're having to fight through something in the backfield just to scratch out 3 or 4 yards. I want to see the running backs. They've looked better. Um, Blaylock has looked great so far. Barnes has looked better. We haven't got to see a whole lot of Xavier Robinson in that. And you're gonna think, I think, with this game, if you're going to win and you're going to win convincingly, you're going to have to run all three of those guys. And they're all going to have to play well. And like I said, given what we talked about with their offensive line, they may not have it may not be the drive a school bus through that gap type of situation. It may be you're going to have guys that find a way to slither through the smallest of cracks, or they're going to be able to make somebody miss and get a few extra yards. So I really think the running backs are going to be way more critical than they have been at all in any of the other games for OU this season. So I'd like to see them just get some sort of running game. I don't think you need to have, 200 yards rushing or something to win this game, but I also think you're going to have sustained drives. You're going to have to start leaning. You're going to have to figure out a way to use that sort of those players to lean on that Auburn defensive line, that defensive front. And if you can do that, then I'll feel more confident. But right now it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. So we'll see.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'll say, in watching, finally got to watch some, really break down play by play with Auburn a little bit today. And Um, I think Jackson has seen things better, but he's still slow to pull the trigger. Several plays where it's an out route, it's a curl route, it's a dig route. And instead of letting the ball fly as they're making their break, he's waiting and waiting and waiting. And even in the South Alabama game, two different plays. One, Singleton blows his guy off the ball, acting like he's running a fade route, runs an out route, over to the side. Jackson waits so long that Singleton gets all the way to the sideline and then has to come back and get the ball because Jackson doesn't throw the ball until he's all the way to the sideline. And it's like, dude, that ball's got to be out. You can see he's got his guy beat. Let it fly. And then a curl route that he ran later in the game gets broken up because Jackson doesn't throw the ball until the receiver's completely turned around with their head looking at him. And it allows the DB to get their feet underneath them and then get in there and break the ball, break the pass up. Um, he's got to do better at that. Now, all the go balls he threw were one-on-one coverage, and he saw it right off the line, and he let it fly. But anything in the middle or around just seems like he's still waiting, and you got to make him pay. If you're gonna get a little bit of separation between you and the receiver, Jackson's gonna wait to throw the ball. You got to break and go get underneath that sucker, and you got to squeeze the ball and make it a turnover. And then hopefully the ghosts of Christmas Pass come back on Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that you have to worry about as an OU fan is Jackson has had better games so far. Like you said, not to say some of those things he doesn't improve on, but he hasn't been fumbling the ball and throwing a ton of picks or anything like that.
No.
So,
Matter of fact, I don't think he has a turnover in the season right now.
Yeah. And he's getting a little bit of that confidence that he never really had at OU. So if he keeps building on that, you got to worry. If he comes in this game and he gets a couple of long drives and OU's not really in threat of picking him off, then I could see him starting to get a little bit of that confidence. Now, as you alluded to, I do think that's where I give Mateer a big edge. Is I think Mateer has a lot more anticipation.
Yeah.
Even a couple of his picks, I would say were, there's still debate about that or whatever. But the one that he threw against Illinois State, it's like I believe it was Burks was supposed to break to the left and he broke to the right.
Yeah.
But he had that ball. If he breaks to the left, Mateer has that ball right to him as he's coming out of his break. So things like that, I think Mateer is a little bit better at it. He's able to read the defenses and really put that ball out there for these guys who've got his head turned.
Yep.
But like you said, with the weapons that Arnold has, you better hope the corners can lock him down, because if not, they're going to tear you up. And if you give them just a little bit of space, if they're catching the ball with even 2 yards of space, that's enough for a guy on that roster to take it to the house. If you give him that much space, so going to be a very interesting game. I mean, this is going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah. And like I said, unfortunately, I kind of gave it up when we were talking with Ike earlier, but I think this game is, again, low scoring. I think our defense is going to give them fits. I think the state of our offensive line is going to slow our offense down tremendously. And I think this is an absolute slugfest. I think this is 23-20, something like that. Could be 2017 for that matter. But I think this is going to be really, really tight. And it's really going to come down to little things, turnovers, special teams, all those things that we don't really pay attention to until we need it, right? I think those are going to be things that really decide this game. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said a little bit of the same thing. Now, I'm going to give a caveat because I still don't know. Auburn hasn't had to go play a tough opponent away yet, and I want to see how that works with Hugh Freeze's. He's got 5 coaches calling plays on offense. I want to see how that goes when they're in a hostile environment. There just feels like there could be a lot of confusion with that. So I think if the fans get rowdy enough, if it's like the Michigan game,
yeah,
then I see OU winning by maybe 2 scores. But
and by the way, we ought to be, Sooner Nation. It's a freaking opening conference game. Y'all should be going out of your minds. I know it's not a night game. Get loud. Make it uncomfortable in there for them the whole freaking
I want to
game.
see I want to see like the Michigan game where the student section was packed as basically as soon as the gates opened.
Yeah.
But I I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that my prediction for score is 27-17 for the good guys.
Woo! I like it. I like the confidence.
Yeah, I just this I have belief in Venables. I think he has the edge in this game a little bit because he, like you alluded to, he knows Jackson Arnold. He knows Jackson Arnold's strengths and weaknesses. And Venables has already shown. I mean, he threw Bryce Underwood. I know he's a freshman quarterback, but he threw him into a spin cycle. And I think he could very well do the same with Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating, man. So Sooner Nation, show up, turn out, go nuts. Remember, find our guy Ike. If you see him walking around, invite him over, hang out with you guys. Give him a great welcome to Norman, Oklahoma. Show him the ropes around the place, man. That'd be awesome. And get it going. It should be a great game. It's going to be an exciting game. And again, another test for this team to really see who they are, what they're about. We feel good after the Michigan game, yeah. But I think we also have some question marks. They go in and win this one. They win this one 27-17, like you're saying. Oh yeah. Like, we're working with something in this team that could really be special.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a defining game, right? Like every game for OU's schedule, the remainder of the season basically is. But this is one that could give this team a lot of confidence and really launch them into the college football playoff talk.
Yeah.
In a more serious way. People are already rumbling about it, but I'm talking about putting you in the same conversations that you do with Ohio State and Florida State and all that. You've played two quality opponents, and if you're able to, especially if they find a way to come out and, like I said, get a decent margin of victory against them, there's big confidence. And you know what? Just to circle back real quick to Temple game, one thing that I said pre that game was I want to see this team come out and step on their throat from beginning to end. And that's what a championship team does. Is it doesn't matter who you put in front of them, they're going to kick your butt.
Yep,
they did it. So
100%.
Show it to me again this week, and I'll be a happy Sooner fan.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's going to be great stuff, man. Well, guys, thanks again for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. We'd really appreciate it. Again, hit us up at JustOKSports at gmail.com if you're interested in our merch. Our site's got a few issues with it, but if you'd like some, just email us. We'll get you hooked up and make sure that it can get your way. It takes about a week to turn around, but we'll get you a link to the site to be able to get stuff ordered and get it all going. We're having a great time. We hope you are too. I'm Daryl, that's Jared, and we will talk to you guys later.
Bye, Baker.
Cha-ching, a Thunder Moneyball. And you can unhitch the wagon. Put the ponies in the ball.